Just fucking do it. Subscribe now. And if you really did what you said, or maybe you really believe that you're delusional, that you read most of my stuff or all my stuff, nowhere on my site, nowhere on my website, nowhere on my YouTubes, nowhere on all the shit, the TikTok and fucking Instagram, does it say that the seminar is about the steps. What I do say is you're not going to follow the steps, even though you have them. And you will have them when you get the gig on the last afternoon, or gigs, whatever it's called. Most of you, maybe in some seminar groups, all of you, don't get past the first step. To put it in layman language, your heads are not screwed on straight vis-a-vis creating generational wealth. That's as simple as I can make it. And it's not important, who fucked you up. It is, you're fucked up and you can't, it's a bridge too far. And that's why the 19-year-old and a couple of 22-year-olds have a better chance of it because they don't have as much baggage. And that's why some of the guys, and you're going to hear not a testimony, that's the wrong word. You're going to see a little video clip that I got this morning from a guy that I stuck with for 6 fucking years. 3 pivots. 20 board members. Jail. Those are the highlights of my career with him. PhD in finance from a good school. MBA in finance from a good school. Air Force Academy graduate. 6 motherfucking years. And he's smarter than anybody in this room. But if you don't get your head screwed on straight, you never will do it. Many people have difficulty. Some blame it on morality, is that you have no rules. The new rules are you have none. And some people that come to the seminar with the 30 years plus are so steeped in the rules that they were given growing up. And we know who gives us the rules growing up. That you can, as they say here in Scotland, you can't do it. It's like and I'm not equating QLA to hell or the devil, but it's like dropping a Vistal Virgin from heaven into the depths of hell. You can't do it. And I pounded this it'll be 31 years in May, in different ways. I've tried every way known to man, the devil or God, to try to get this across, so you take it more serious. Very seldom does anybody take it serious. And that's why look in front of you, look behind you, look to the left of you, look to the right of you, and they're all gone. They won't make it. The spirit may be willing, but the flesh is weak. Now, I fast-forwarded this. We normally don't cover this till the last day in the morning. But I fast-forwarded a couple of days because, one, in the brief conversations that we've had, I can just tell. I can smell death. I mean, it's like going into a morgue when the temperature hasn't been cold enough. Guys, the young man in the back corner, asked me, why do I get so emotional? I started explaining yesterday afternoon. Because I know this is it. There is no tomorrow. This is fucking it. And for those of you that have taken years to get here, fuck. For those of you that mortgaged your house and however you did it, fuck. We had a shaman monk here about 6 months ago, 8 months ago, Cat. The monk, the shaman monk. It's that right there. And on one time, I said, have you ever worn shoes before? No, sir. You could tell he was suffering walking. And that's a new suit? Yes, sir. Have you ever had a suit before? No, sir. Have you ever worn shoes before? No, sir. I was telling you. And he looked lean and mean. I mean, I don't know if he had any body fat. And when you sit in the tables together, and I'd look over, and the rest of you would be talking, he'd be staring, and he ate square. He was sitting up like this, like in military camp. He ate square. And I said, what do you think of the people? Because I saw him the last day after the seminar. What do you think of your colleagues? Didn't say anything. And then I prodded him a little, and he says, we were taught if you have nothing positive to say about anybody, to keep your mouth shut. That's a paraphrase. I have no positive input from my colleagues. Well, I'm not a Buddhist monk, so I can give you negative input. Hoping is not a strategy that, if I can just click one more of you to the dark side. I'm considered the Darth Vader of financial information. If I can't get you to do it, there is no hope. Because I bring them back from the dead. I bring them back even if they got fucking rigor mortis, which you're going to hear the guy I just alluded to, not on YouTube. You're going to hear is just a minute and a half he just sent me thanking me about, sticking with him. Because I don't give up on you unless you give up on yourself. 6.5 years is a long fucking time for no progress. With all his background and all this, that, and everything, it's a long fucking time. But John Robinson, 6+ years. Raymond, 822 days for the first deal. Yeah, you're going to go out and knock it out of the park. Right? You're going to fucking crush it. Right? Wrong. And occasionally we would get a guy that gets it in 15 minutes, like I told you yesterday. Well, we had one of those in almost 31 years. One. Happened to be a lying, cheating, thieving lawyer from Pittsburgh. I mean, you know how when a snake loses its skin, and it goes along and the skin kind of falls off? That was him. If he had a heart, it was black like a stone. I don't believe he had a heart. And I made him CEO of one of my holding companies. That's how good he was. And I forgot to tell you last night, the CEO, when Sally and I decided to downsize and get rid of a lot of our businesses and assets, we appointed an Indian CEO of our worldwide organization. His name is Pratap Hegde. He also, when he slithered, the skin, he left it behind. And our head worldwide lawyer was also an Indian, but he was from Mangalore and he was from Bangalore. And the Mangalore people say that they're all thieves and back and forth. Anyway, they don't like each other, as I say the least. But they're all well-educated and God, were they tough. Our building in Gurgaon caught on fire once. I think one of the employees said, I don't know that for a fact. And I'm still in the building. It took 2 hours for the fire department to get there. And they wouldn't get there. First, they wanted a crow. How much is a crow for those that are non-Indians? How much is a crow in money? 10 million? Okay, before they come and put the fire out. And Hegde got there, and he beat the fire guy while the police were standing there. And so they wound up, I think he got 50,000 rupees. That was it. And so they're putting the fire out. But nobody would go into the fire. And of course, they didn't know I was, maybe they did know I was in there. And so I slept in the office, and all of a sudden the door gets broken down, and they pull me out. And I don't think we gave the fire guys any bonus for saving my life. So when I was sitting next to you, all these stories about you were sitting next to my wife, all these money talks and bullshit walks. If there's ever an economy on this planet that I have actually lived through, I mean, it's a great country if you got a lot of money. I mean, it is a super country if you got a lot of money. But any country is good if you got a lot of money. But I mean, guys, we got to get serious. Don't worry about your fucking, even the chairman's the most important person in your life, other than when you dropped out of between your fat mama's legs. You're not going to get to the chairman until you get your head screwed on straight. Unless you really want it. And then if you do have a board or a board meeting, they're going to throw you out like, I use tampon. And we're going to see, don't we see Peter again today? And he's going to tell you how he's doing the two best deals that I've ever seen. To this date, it's still the two best deals. And I still pinch myself that it's real, that he did it, the little mousy guy that he is, but he did do it. Because he, as he said, he was desperate. He was suicidal. He'd rather be dead than poor. And I had a nightmare about selling cookies during Christmas. God damn. I got to, fuck. And Sally's asleep. Oh, it's a dream. It's a dream, Can you imagine a grown man with a kid and a wife and to be able to buy some little shit for Christmas? You got to sell Christmas cookies at the mall? That's beyond my imagination. I mean, that is hell. But that's what he did. Last night you saw whom? Pardon? Limitless. Okay, that's right. We only added that in the last year. Because of the fear factor. And even though fear is false expectations appearing real, and I used to have all analogies. I had all these things to try to explain to you, not to be afraid, but people are still afraid. If you're afraid of the dark, you're afraid of the dark. There's no rhyme nor reason or rationale. And kids normally, little kids are always afraid of the dark. Okay, and they outgrow it. But some people don't. And if you're afraid of public speaking, or if you're afraid of a lot of the things that are intertwined to make this system work, you're going to have problems. And that's why I say go to improv. I say to go to Toastmasters. And when you go to Toastmasters, you don't sit in the back of the room. You volunteer to go up and they tell you, okay, sell me this bar of gold. You're actually participating. And the clubs that you can't afford, or you can't afford Toastmasters, the two committees, and they normally want you to be on a committee. There's only two committees on any club that you would ever join or be asked to join that are worthwhile, are the membership committee, because you're going to see who's coming in and if they're worthwhile for your model, and the finance committee. That's it. Not the Hanukkah committee, not the Christmas golf tournament committee, none of that. That's all a waste of time. That's all a waste of time. And Peter's done all that, and Andres we talk about, and this guy that you're going to see, his sons were off YouTube. They did all that, and yet it was still almost impossible for them. Because something in their background, the boogeyman in the dark corner, It was there just like I had a nightmare last night about selling cookies, which would be hell for me. I wouldn't do that. My kids would starve. They'd be, when Sally and I were in Rwanda, and right now there's a big scandal about Rwanda because the British government gave the Rwanda government about 200 million pounds to build this shit take the migrants there. So I've been there twice. Sally and I were part of an initiation of a charity for the little Rwandan kids. And nobody's fat in Rwanda, nobody. Because you got to walk between 7 and 12 miles every day for water. So I coined it the Rwandan diet. And we got a trademark and a bunch of shit. Then I said, nah, that ain't right, Dan. Even for me, that's not right. So I didn't follow up on it. But every day, and then we went out in the village, and everybody got their hand up, not because of graft, or not because they're stealing. They got their hand up because they have nothing. And of course, when you try to check on the public websites where that 200 million pounds went, you can't find it. I know exactly where it went. I bet my life on it. I know where it went. And they gave him 200 million pounds before anybody from the British government even went to fucking Rwanda. Is it stupidity or is it naivete or is it both? But until you get your head screwed on straight, you're going to have difficulty. And when I used to get weekly reports, and on the bottom I had a section, and this section is not for you. What am I not telling Dan? What question of the 77 questions is there something between? It's like when you find, unless you ask your children the exact right question, you don't get the truth. Like, they give you bullshit. And, but that question's for you now. What am I not being 100% honest with myself? And that's your boogeyman in the dark. That's your boogeyman there. And unfortunately, although our numbers were sky high up during Corona, it set us back in the 100-year cycle because the kids weren't having to go out and see people. The kids were living behind their computer. The kids were giving presentations, Zoom, etc. And for the first time in my long career, as I mentioned it, banks were lending money without seeing the asset. Kids were building boards, dream teams, getting chairman without meeting them face to face. And I know that's going to set us back, but it made the numbers look terrific. We were up, significantly because they got more deals done because you didn't have to put your head out on the line. Fearless, comments about Fearless. By the way, what he did, I've done. That thing he walked on. And we didn't have cameras and all that stuff. That is scary. It is scary. It's not the scariest thing I've ever done, but it's one of the scariest things I've ever done. And there's a section in your weekly report for you. What did I do to scare myself today? Most of you, if I hadn't just mentioned it just now, most of you, when you're going down all the things, you just skip it. You think it's a Chinese menu. Oh, I have a little Sichuan this and this. You think it's a potpourri, you just pick what you want. If you don't answer that fucking question every day, you're going to fail. What did you do today to scare yourself? I did a lot of things, still do things. Because I shouldn't be doing it at my age. You shouldn't be doing it at anybody's age. And it's because driving towards the goal line, and there's several different goal lines, of getting you to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Because the process is foreign to you. A couple of you in the room successfully, or I'm told successfully built dream teams before you got here. Well, I like this. I don't want to see it, but I probably beg to differ. Because you hadn't done shit yet, or you started to do shit, but the getting 7 or 8 people to agree to something that you don't know pretty much anything about, and you're taking the word of your industry experts, your CEO, your CFO, and probably most importantly, your chairman or chairwoman, It's a different experience. And then when you've got the balls like little Gabriel to fire the chairman the day before the board meeting, that was the impetus for him to run towards a gunfire and kill everybody, which is a metaphor I use all the time. Run towards a gunfire and kill everybody, metaphorically. And those of you that can come closest to that, run towards a gunfire with aggression, as Bailey demonstrated yesterday. Then you've got a chance. And as Peter said, you do all this, you've got a chance. But if this is just, a passing by thing, you want to check a box, you could be one of the 8 or 10 year programs. And although the guy that did the 6-year program, 6.5 years, he was earnest. But sometimes for you guys, the stars have to be juxtaposed perfectly in line. And it's like Halley's Comet. How often does it come around? Every 75 years. And if you're one of those guys, you better get a second job. And I'm going to say it now, people said, some of you are students, a couple of you anyway. Can I do this and go to school? Absolutely you can. You got a job. How long you got 6 to 8 months savings to live to feed your family. Not enough. Can I do this while I'm having a job? Yeah, absolutely you can. We've got a lot of people that have done that. We've got people that have been in medical school, had a job, and did QLA. When it's tough, and then we've got kids that can't chew bubble gum and, scratch your ass. Now you individually know, notwithstanding the psychological profiles that we did, you know yourself. A couple of you that I've talked to already have said that, I need the, they didn't use the word pressure, but they need the structure. They use the word structure. Well, that means you need pressure if you need structure. Okay? I was the kind of guy, I got it almost immediately. Like the slime ball lawyer. Of course, I had a scholarship to go to law school, never went. And I just, I've been running towards a gunfire ever since. So what is your takeaway from Fearless, other than we know you're all afraid of something? Sir?
How to manage stress and take it as a positive energy.
I thrive on stress. I thrive on confrontation. When a deal goes smoothly, I don't like it. You know why? Because I know I left something on the table. If there's not, from fist fights down to fuck you, you've got a tight deal when your accountants fight the other accountants fist fights. That's when you know you've squeezed the fuck out of them. Same with lawyers. I can see we haven't had many fist fights at closings here. Okay, YouTube.